God of War 2018 was an exceptional game that came out all the way back in, well, 2018, and it featured the big, bald, burly, bearded boy himself. Now, the obvious thing to do in a review would be to dress up as that boy himself, but, well, I can only really be like one of those things. That's right, it's boy. Now, as every good review should start, let's go over some history. You see, ancient Greece existed many, many years ago in a location which scholars are now calling modern Greece. It was a land that was filled with gods, goddesses, and most importantly, one angry, shirtless, goateed man, Kratos. One thing led to another, and we ultimately just flipped Europe upside down to place ourselves in the fictional land known as Scandinavia, where everyone is like happy all the time and just generally lives really nice lives, and also aren't just consumed by unyielding rage all the time. Also, Kratos had a boy, and that's quite important. This is where we find ourselves in God of War Ragnarok, Kratos' latest god-slaying adventure, featuring a big beard and an even bigger boy. Okay, so if you felt that my recap was a little hazy, don't worry, there is a helpful recap that you can watch. I think that was pretty accurate. This new bout of God of War games got a reputation for presenting a more emotional story, and specifically, a more emotional Kratos. Well, having more than one emotion. Oh, look at how emotional that sigh was. Years have passed since the last game, and during that time things have gotten pretty cold. The end of the world and all reality is brought in with a heavy sigh and cold demeanour. Thankfully, during this time, Kratos and his boy have not gone on any adventures of note, apart from the adventure that is puberty. Yes, where the first game explored the concept of Kratos trying to form a deep, meaningful relationship with his estranged son, due to he himself being estranged from his own emotions, that aren't anger, this new game follows Kratos on a new aspect of child rearing, specifically empty nest syndrome. The boy wants to go out in the world, explore, adventure, maybe even start a war here or there. You know, we've all been young, we've all been a little bit reckless in our youth, am I right? But importantly, Kratos doesn't want that, and really just kind of struggles to convey this. This culminates in the boy, who already has anywhere between 2 and 4 dads, deciding to gather more dads.
Hey! Not so fast!
Notably, Odin, who is for all intents and purposes, a dick.
Dying is what we Aesir live for. And let's be honest, they were kinda useless.
So, Kratos and his boy head off on a somewhat meandering quest to try and not get involved in the ongoing Ragnarok and end of the world, by routinely getting involved in Ragnarok and bringing about the end of the world. Importantly though, it's so good! Like, oh my god. Within the first few moments of the game, it had already beset me with the sort of sad scenes that had me blubbering like a little infant.
You're a good boy. A brave boy. Fast and strong. But you can rest now.
Oh god, it's so sad.
You can let go now. You have to let go.
Look, God of War tells an incredibly emotional story. It handles the struggles to reclaim one's humanity, to try and correct and better instances of past violences, and to understand and learn the profound effect and support that friends and family can provide by diving deep into the heart of our characters. Okay, so it does also involve, quite frankly, humorous levels of mega violence that involve, like, diving deep into someone's heart and, like, crushing it in your hand. Yes, everything is all emotional, everything's pulling on your heartstrings, but we're playing a video game. We've got to have combat.
Behind you! Poison!
We've just got to. Look, there's no escaping it. We are trapped in this industry. It's good. It's weighty. It's impactful. It flows well. And most importantly, you're on fire.
You're on fire, Kratos!
You've got your axe that does these big, heavy swings that feel great. And then you've got the blades of chaos that whip around in quick flourishes of death. Look, I'm aware that I'm making this all seem kind of infantile, but it is genuinely very good. Enemies will absolutely mess you up if you're not careful, so combat rapidly becomes this fluid process of ducking out of combat before diving headfirst back once more. Flow is the name of the game, and this game has it in spades. You'll have moments where you get absolutely smashed in the face and knocked to the floor, normally to the chastisement of your bodiless head friend.
Brother! Get up! Brother!
But there are the odd moments where everything comes together. You become the greatest god of war that you've ever been. You pull off a wonderful combo, artfully parry the incoming swing, riposte into a heavy blow, and you feel unstoppable. You feel unkillable. You feel... The point is that the combat feels fun and great to splash around in. There is something to be said about enemy variants where it can feel like there's not all that much at times, but everything you do is all in achieving that sweet state of flow. The game itself also has a particular style of flow. You know how I awkwardly and randomly shifted into a segment about the combat? Because it kind of felt like I had to, because you're starting to feel like you're getting bored? Well, it wasn't because I'm bad at writing. Oh no, it was a clever writing tool to reflect what the game does all the time. Or at least that's what I realised it could be the moment I got to this point in the script. As you dander around the world on your grand adventure, characters will be interacting with one another, chatting here and there, which will all slowly build to a sort of big cinematic scene where big story revelations happens, emotions are made, and Kratos reveals his view on snacking.
Anybody need a snack? Kratos? Snack?
I do not need a snack.
I guess I better hide all of these then. I originally bought only a few snacks for this, but I accidentally, in the 3 days between buying them and filming, I ate them all, so I had to go out and buy more snacks. It's been a long weekend, you know, just been dealing with a lot of stuff recently. I'm just sort of not really feeling creatively like... But while you're hiking up a mountain or having solved a few puzzle segments, you'll enter a room and it almost feels like the game has woken up from an alcohol-induced coma to throw up some enemies into your lap like the world's saddest children's entertainer. Oh, sorry, were you having a moment to contemplate the folly of youth and the loss of innocence? Oh, God. Oh, here's some colourful lights to smash and play with. Oh, God. This isn't necessarily bad, as again, the combat feels interesting to slink into. But you do notice it. You notice the structure of the game as someone finishes revealing some part of their story, or interesting lore piece, and then everyone awkwardly stops talking until you open the next door to begin battle. Wow, Father, it would appear that the locals would use this sort of thing as some form of entertainment during long nights. Anyway, one act of extreme violence later. You were saying? Well, to be honest, I was thinking that we could have maybe played it, but everything's sort of covered in blood now, and never mind. But sometimes it isn't all just murder and story. No, there are instances where as you're stomping around the corridors, you're presented with a delightful little puzzle to try and solve. Yes, most of the time this is just destruction, but in artful ways, but there's still really interesting moments that make you stop and just use all of the skills at your disposal. These could have been things such as the various chests and bits and pieces across the map, waiting for you to solve them and unlock their tasty, tasty treats. Or they'll be in your actual quest. The quest that's about causing or stopping an interdimensional war that could end all of space and time as we know it. These help to break up the routine of chatting and murder that we've already established by really slowing things down and making you look around. But in what you will learn later on, your friends have a penchant for the gift of the gab and are all too eager to backseat game your way through any puzzle before you've even rotated the camera.
There's more Twilight Stone up there.
Although sometimes that's less than useful.
The statue keeps getting stuck on the wing.
I know,
Father.
yes. Thank you, I'm looking up.
Father,
What?
there.
What?
I see
Where?
something up
What is
there.
it that you
Father.
want?
Up there.
Up there.
There must be a way to move this statue's Twilight Stone to get the right angle.
Father, up there.
God, it's just like being a parent. I assume. Seasoned gods of war, specifically of the Norse variety, would remember that the first game had this massive hub area, this big lake basically, that had lots of little offshoots for you to go and explore and get lost down and spend lots of time learning all these different bits of Norse mythology and lore as you do little side quests here and there. The issue was that this would often expand outwards just endlessly into a wide variety of little side tunnels and side bits and pieces that you'd ultimately just get lost down and kind of forget what your main quest was, which was, you know, helping Kratos comprehend the grief of his dead wife, while also, you know, trying to prepare a small child for the cruel and unyielding world that is real life. Ragnarok, on the other hand, breaks up these side quests into really interesting chunks. As you go about your journey, the game will point you in the direction of the main quest with a hefty, "Oh yeah, that there war we're trying to stop all starters over there," before lightly tilting your head to go, "But if you've got some spare time, we've got this big area over here for you to paddle your boat about." I don't know why the game is vaguely northern. Because Norse? The side quest areas for each realm that this happens in are always great. They're these wonderful character-led moments that have a central storyline that pulls you through it, all while giving you a variety of other queries to solve.
What? So that's the voice I heard.
I'd hoped it would have escaped by now, but we'll need to free it from its restraints.
They end up not so much as feeling as side quests in the busy work sense, but almost feel part of the main story as they allow you to build on characters a whole lot more and get a greater sense of what drives them.
Good. Good boys.
Girls.
Good girls.
Honestly, these side quests are really good, and there's just not much wrong that can happen with them. Well... Alright, look. There is just too much to do in this game. It is almost comical how much there is that the game offers for you to do and for you to deal with, while, to be honest, a lot of it's just not very good, or at least not very interesting. The first game was also absolutely stuffed full of various side quests and doodads for you to do and collect. And I don't know if it's just that back then I had a lot more free time and now I'm just old, sad, and burdened by the ever-increasing responsibilities of labour. It's that. But back in my day, that was fine. I didn't mind killing the dragons or whatever. Although actually thinking back on it, there were a number of kind of tediously boring quests about all the ghosts, basically every single ghost quest. Although these were also tending to be like framed specifically within the wider narrative of boy wanting to do something emotional, dad not wanting to do something emotional, and that was like a central through point throughout the entire game, so it kind of almost worked. Also, there was a lot of Norse mythology to deal with. But here, well... oh no, I think Ichiro may possibly just have a bit too much going on. For every quest that makes you feel something and expands the characters,
It has grown accustomed to its chains.
there will be a bunch of others that are ultimately busy work. Whether you're scouring the land for pesky ravens to kill, this time infinitely more creepy,
Free are we, free of the Father, our half-wise now, belong to no other.
oh god, why are they like this?
In death.
Or if it's God of War's light Legend of Zelda or Metroidvania style of map exploration, leading to disincentivizing you from doing any actual exploration until the very end of the game. It's all well and good to have characters stand around and going, huh, maybe we'll get something I can do with this later,
Yeah, I don't think we can do anything with that yet.
which might unlock an entire area. That's fun. But what frequently happens is you'll clear an area and then some squirrel will come up to you 10 hours later to tell you to go explore every single world to find some things.
You'll find the specimens gnawing on tears throughout the realms. Use this device to safely store them, bring them back to me, and I promise I'll make it worth your while.
And then 2 hours later, basically the exact same thing will happen. We have to explore every world again, but for a different quest. Eventually, this will just wear you down because the number of quests that involve finding portals or something else, but in every single world, is numerous, and they are all routinely just drip-fed to you the entire time. So, why explore at a nice natural pace, as the flights of fancy of adventure take you, when you just know that literally around the corner there is likely to be yet another quest being given to you that'll ask you to re-explore everything all over again, so you might as well wait until the very end of the game so you can just do it in one efficient run. And when you have to start thinking about how to do the busy work in your entertainment the most efficient way, well, I feel like maybe something's gone wrong in your entertainment. Unless your entertainment is basically doing spreadsheets, which coincidentally mine is. I do get a lot of fun out of that, and so I am going to just die alone. I know you don't have to do all the quests, but there's a lot of interesting character interactions that can come from it. Then the quests that don't have that, well, why are they even here? Why would you put something that's a bit naff willingly into your game? A lot of this feels like they're just there to keep the guides industry in business, as everyone inevitably loads up GameFAQs to find all the achievement related items while looking at some sweet ASCII art of the game logo. But this all just wears you down until you steamroll the main quest and feel that sweet, sweet emotional wave that rolls over you and slowly drowns you in your own tears. That is, with all of these side quests that the game is far too eager for you to complete, the tone can sometimes unsurprisingly be a little inconsistent. Whenever you finish a massive, epic story quest moment, your eyes are still moist from all the weeping, or you're still just rolling in the waves of reverence at just the scenes you've seen, the things you've had to contemplate, the reality of your own life and mortality that you've had to comprehend. Well, the game would then immediately be like, oh, that was pretty rough. Anyway, let's go down to the arcades if you want to. Come on, let's go! History will remember the stories of cruelty, for the lightness of compassion is forever lost behind a dull veil of unrelenting communal hate, pulled ever forwards by bad actors whose common interest is that of the betterment of themselves at the expense of others. Yeah, that is interesting, but we also need to still get all those the spices from the other worlds, as well as there's those portals. So we could just go and do that. But the thing you said about hate and stuff, that yeah, if you want, we can continue on yeah. The game genuinely does this a lot. You'll be ramping up to the finale of the game. The world is collapsing around you, everyone is dying, you're swinging between wild weeping and quiet reverence, and then someone awkwardly shuffles onto the screen to either ask you to go and get their 7 hats, or to remind you that maybe you'd like to do something else. You know, something other than enjoy a frankly incredible and emotionally compelling story. If you wanted to just not do that and do busy work instead? People might think I'm being unreasonably harsh here for complaining about side quests existing and also your characters reminding you that they exist after every major story moment. But it'd be like if, I don't know, in The Last of Us, after you've just saved Ellie from a bunch of cannibals and everything's on fire and you're about to go and, you know, take her to the base and whatnot, Ellie's like, whoa, Joel. We've not collected all of the comic books yet, so I think we should, you know, really take the pace out of things here to go and do that. I know we're about to maybe save all of humankind, but I got some comic books to do. And it does feel quite silly at just how much there is to do in God of War, and not entirely in a good way. Even the equipment system feels overloaded with more and more aspects to change, all with ultimately minimal percentage changes that just don't add up to anything. Yes, changing your equipment from cooldown based to health based or attack based, that's interesting. But when you start getting to these fine, minute changes of your amulet and these other bits and pieces, you just immediately stop caring and detach from the entire system as a whole. If you thought I was done, well, I'm almost there. A lot of you might be thinking like, oh sweet, nifty, with all these bits and pieces for me to do, it means I can unwind after a long day's work and just put on some music or a podcast or something and just mentally detach as I go about cleaning up the map. No! No one shuts up in this game, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but there are times when you'll want to just kind of mentally switch off and just mindlessly boat around the world to collect the plethora of objectives and side missions and bits and pieces that this game is desperate for you to do, but you're having to stop whatever it is you've got going on in the background, whatever you're listening to every 5 gosh darn seconds, because Mimir is about to say something really insightful and meaningful about how, like, man is nothing but a pile of miserable lies and secrets or something. The central theme of this, though, is that it's really emotional throughout the entire thing. Like, the story routinely messed me up and left me brimming with emotions of some form. I'm so desperately trying to not just splurge on you about the story and its twists and turns and emotions, because it's really good and you should definitely play it. And it's difficult to explain how good it is without ruining the entire thing. Watching Kratos, this character we have known and followed for decades now, go from this incredibly, impossibly imposing figure, this ruthless force, to just moments where he looks old, he looks tired, he looks small, is incredible. And it just constantly has these moments where Kratos genuinely has these heartfelt, emotional moments of reflection as he thinks about what he's done, how far he's come, and what he may one day be. Or just how it handles Atreus trying to find his identity, trying to get through this awkward puberty stage and learn what he is and what he will be for the rest of his life. And how it really interestingly joins in, like, the Norse mythology of, like, his children of Fenrir and Jormungandr. Although Sleipnir is missing from that list, but I guess having the bit where the boy turns into a female horse to then have sex with a non-magical normal male horse to then birth a six-legged horse, well, it may have been just a little bit too much. Ugh. God of War Ragnarok is easily my game of the year for 2022. It is just this incredibly emotional story about Kratos desperately trying to hold on to that small portion of happiness and peacefulness that he's managed to carve out in this cold and unrelenting world, whilst desperately trying to not fall back into his old nature, trying to get as far away from it as possible, despite everyone around him and the world itself constantly calling on him to enact that nature of his own, which invariably might lead to him causing harm to the ones he loves and the ones he cares about, all whilst trying to not necessarily be sorry for it, but just trying to be better. It's just a really good game. Oh, hello there. You've caught me in what scholars can only describe as deep regret. Because you see, I've got ketchup on my face, I'm shirtless, I've got a microphone taped to my tit, and I'm rapidly coming to learn just how much I actually hate ketchup and how it wants to make me violently throw up. So this is great. This is an extreme situation I want to be in. Anyway, if you liked this video, let me know by leaving a like, or let me know your thoughts about God of War Ragnarok and how genuinely it's like a really good game. God, I just keep thinking about what's on my face. Otherwise, you can check out a video over here, which is about Vampire Survivors, which is another game which I was like, hey, maybe this could be a game of the year sort of thing, who knows? Or a game down here, I'm desperately trying to not reveal my nip and trying not to throw up, which is about Xenoblade Chronicles. I think it's a really fun video, actually. I put a lot of work into it, put a lot of thought into it. Otherwise, you can click on my face or to subscribe. I'm gonna go either throw up or wash my face now. Who knows? Thank you and goodbye. Oh God, that was awful.